Misfits Boxing is coming to the zone. We already know about KSI Fury. We already know the prime card's coming. 009 is before that. It's live in Newcastle, September the 23rd. Topped by the fighters. Fight of the night. Aaron Chalmers takes on Idris Virgo in a throwdown not to be missed. Mams Taylor is on the line joining us now. Mams, what a night. We talk about bringing the fights up to Newcastle. What a card to kick us off.
You know, it's a really, really good builder card, and it's going to be all about the storylines and essentially creating new stars, and that's what these non-pay-per-views are there for. You know, and I've drawn the comparison a few times. You've got UFC numbered for the pay-per-views, and then you've got UFC Fight Night, which might not be as big names, but it certainly be as exciting in terms of action. Idris Virgo, Aaron Chalmers. Idris is game to fight pretty much anyone, whether it's Halal Ham or Mike Tyson in his prime in a time machine coming back. Idris doesn't. So Idris gets a lot of stick for challenging influencers to fights, but what people don't realize is he challenges anyone to a fight. So he wants to fight anyone and everyone, and that's kind of his MO, which is quite funny, really, when you think about it. He challenges people he's a lot better than, and people who would be probably an extremely tough night for him. So at least he's consistent. And then Aaron Chalmers, obviously, we saw him against Floyd recently, and he's just a tough man. It's a great test for both of them, and really a qualifier to see which of them can get into the pro tournament, the $1 million stake tournament.
We want to talk about those two guys. I mean, we've spoken to both of them already in this build-up, and they know how to sell a fight. They're that kind of fighter. They're both exciting. Neither of them ready to take a backward step. And like you say, with that carrot being dangled of you could be in the $1 million tournament, I mean, that's going to bring the best out of two very good fighters already, no?
Absolutely. I think Aaron, like I say, he's unpredictable. He's a tough guy, very durable. And, you know, I think for me, watching Aaron fight, if he's in the right emotional state, he can be a real threat to anybody. And Idris is consistent. He's a tough guy as well, and he's technically very sound. What is he now? 13-0. So he wants to keep that record intact.
Let's have a look a little bit through the card, because it's everywhere. Like you say, it's storylines everywhere. FaZe Temper's back. I mean, last time out, hell of a challenge in front of him. Short notice, takes on KSI as a late replacement, and okay, didn't go to plan. Let's be honest. But since then, he's been able to put in serious rounds, serious times with one of the highest respected coaches on the planet. He's going up against Ginty, who, listen, last time out he got a bit of stick. Let's be honest. I think he's got a bit of a point to prove. Both of them have got a bit of a point to prove, and that's what makes this fight one that you don't really want to look away from.
Well said, Chris. I think Ginty has told me he's going for the knockout, and Ginty reminded me that he has knocked every one of his opponents down, including JMX.
He did.
You know, he may not have won that fight. Maybe the Halal Ham fight was a bit of a snooze fest, and I wasn't shy in letting them know, which maybe I was overly harsh. But at the same time, we want to see action. We want to see fights. This is not traditional boxing. And, you know, I don't want you to sit behind your jab the entire time to try and steal points. We want to see action. We want to see a fight. And I think that's just what we're going to get. FaZe Temper, he wants to make his redemption arc the greatest ever in crossover boxing. And here's his potential chance to take that first step off that first rung of the ladder. If he gets a clean knockout from Ginty, then he's right back in there, going to take on a big challenge after that. That's his plan, and totally redeem himself and you know, come back to where his status was before the KSI fight. And he's got a lot to prove. And Malik Scott, glad you mentioned him, because he's one of the best, unbelievable trainer. And then you've got Ginty, who says, you think I'm a stepping stone, I'm going to prove to you that that's not the case. So I think it's going to be an exciting co-main.
Well, I want to talk to you about Temper and Ginty really, and how you in particular reacted towards both of them after their last fight. I was in a position where we see all the content, we see all the videos and the clips and the sounds that don't go out. And what a lot of people may not know is straight after that KSI fight, listen, you're going to be devastated if you're Team Temper on that night. We know that you're Team KSI, but straight away, amidst all the celebrations, you go over, put your arm around Temper, tell him his family, tell him he's welcome back anytime. And he's risen to that challenge. A lot of people, after a knockout as destructive as that, listen, Mams, we've both been in the game long enough. We've seen people fade away. They have all the right intentions. They get cleaned out in front of a big crowd, and it's just not for them anymore. He's taken your invitation, your open welcome, your open arm, which says a lot about yourself as well. Let's just be honest there. And he's taken that as motivation to turn that back around.
He has, and a lot of lesser men wouldn't do that. You know, they might say, okay, I'm going to come back. But when it comes down to it, people get gun shy after they get KO'd like that. People get gun shy. They don't necessarily want to. He doesn't have to fight if he doesn't want to. He's a well-off guy, does well from his businesses. And I really respect that he's now saying, no, you know what? I'm not letting this be the ending of my boxing. I had high aspirations, and you know, I remember speaking to him before 001, and he was like, I really want to take this all the way, you know, and he certainly has a lot of potential. I'm sure he's worked on the things he's needed to work on. Again, Malik Scott is a great coach all round for anyone, but suits him. We know Malik works with very tall, long fighters like Deontay, obviously. So I think it's a perfect combination, and I really respect the demons you have to overcome to step back into that ring after a couple of losses that were quite devastating for him. But again, he can change that story and come out with his own knockout highlight reels, you know, and that's his aim.
You just a quick final one on this. You mentioned that you may have been a bit over harsh on Ginty. I mean, there's no negative energy towards yourself, of course, but sometimes you do speak on emotion. And I think that was you being real in that moment there. And I spoke to Ginty just after he saw those comments, and I think he saw something on Twitter, and then he spoke to yourself. And he was a little bit riled and a bit, he'd just been in the fight. He just won a fight. But again, it's about turning that and using it as motivation. That's as real as it gets. You could have just slapped him on the back, good job, kid, and gone off and just spoke about him privately. But you put it out there. I didn't like it. You won, okay. But again, he's used that. Now it's his turn to prove everybody wrong.
You know, Chris, I get told you need to be more professional in your role. But people forget this is crossover boxing. This is entertainment. People forget the emotional outbursts that Oscar De La Hoya and Bob Arum have, and Dana White has had, and Vince McMahon has had, you know, and at the end of the day, I'm always going to be authentic, and I'm going to have authenticity over strategy when it comes to being myself, and I can't help it. I'm a fan. So as well as doing what I'm doing, I'm a fan of what I'm doing. I'm a fan of what's going on. I'm a fan of this space. I'm a fan of combat sports. I'm a fan of boxing. I'm a fan of wrestling. I'm a fan of anything to do with athletes getting in a ring, basically, or a cage or whatever. And as a fan, obviously, I was disappointed in that fight. And when I make these matches, I think I was disappointed in myself because I played it out. And this is what I try to do, is I try and play it out in my head. How's it going to be? Is it going to be an exciting fight? Is it going to be technical? What's the story going to be for the fans? Because it's all about the fans and entertaining them. That's my main goal. So when I fall short, I take a portion of that blame. I have to. But at the same time, in the moment, in the heat of the moment, I'm just like, fucking punch, throw. What are you doing? Like, what are you doing? This isn't, point fighting. This is like, you're supposed to get in there to try and take each other's heads off. And look, I think both Ham has fought once or twice since then. I think he's fought once since then.
He fought against Zuckles on the prelim.
Yes, and then we've had Ginty has been in my ear. Let me redeem myself, and I'm like, listen, I've apologized to both of them for being overly harsh in the moment, and you know what? It might not be the last time. I am an emotional person when it comes to my passion, what I'm passionate about. So I apologize in advance for my next outburst. But I will say, I believe Ginty. Ginty says, I want to go in there and be the fight of the night. I want to go in there and prove everybody wrong and show FaZe Temper that I, in fact, belong in the top, in the higher echelon. And once I beat Temper, Mams, I want you to give me the biggest fights and I want to go for that title. And Temper obviously is seeing it quite differently. So it's got all the makings to be an exciting fight. And if it's another snooze fest, I don't know.
Well,
I just don't see that happen.
I love to see a little bit of Vince McMahon inside of you, but please, for everyone's sake, don't run into the ring and pop a couple quads on the way in. We don't need to see that.
I saw that meme. Yeah.
Redemption arcs all around, because coming through the other side of a redemption arc is Ashley Raksu and Halal Ham. Both of them having losses that, you know, okay, Anthony Taylor, that's a tough fight for anybody. But the way that he went down so quickly, okay, nobody remembers that he was, you know, man enough and core enough to see through the rest of that fight. Everyone remembers that he got knocked down in 20 seconds. Since then, he's come a wonderful win against King Kenny. Amazing win. You know, that's what he's in. But now it's time to come through that and kick on. In Ham, it's easy to say a lot of things about Halal Ham after that last fight and the DTG fight that he struggled in Sheffield, albeit, again, having a broken nose and having to come through adversity. The fact that he's come through so many challenges in his personal life, he's lost all the weight that he's lost, and he's still here batting, again, shows me you've got the drive that it takes to be a fighter. And people forget very quickly the last snooze fest if you come on and spark out a guy that you're not supposed to spark out. So again, you talk about narrative and storyline. This is the fight that could make either one of their redemption arc complete.
It's the fight game. Anything can happen. I think Raksu is going to be the heavy favorite on this one,
Of course, you have to.
And it would be a hell of an upset. I mean, if Ham pulled off that kind of a level of upset, he would be in a different pay bracket right away. He would be fighting big names right away. So it's a massive rock to climb for him. For Raksu, and being fully transparent, I'm excited to see knockouts on this, because I almost feel like we've had so many people elevate their game in our space that everything's going to decision. We want to see a couple of knockouts here and there too. Obviously, don't want anyone to get seriously hurt, but I think there will be some knockouts on this night, and I think for Raksu, he's done so well against Kenny. His original opponent was supposed to be Slice Jr., who got injured. Yeah. And Ham right away was just like, listen, I want this fight. And I'm like, how do you think you'll do? He's like, I'm going to win. So, you know, I love the confidence there, but I can't even take my promoter's hat off for a second. I think Raksu is the heavy favorite there.
Let me ask you, Mams, what would be the bigger upset? Ginty knocking out Temper or Ham knocking out Raksu?
I think Ham knocking out Raksu would be a bigger upset because it's more unlikely. Ginty has got power. There's something about Ginty. He's just a wiry fella who's a bit awkward, and of course, I think Temper should get the win on that in that fight as well. But like I say, this is a builder card to push forth new stories. All right, now Temper's back, or oh my God, Ginty just did the unthinkable. Or same with Halal Ham and Ashley Raksu. And Raksu, after the win against Kenny, and if he breezes past Ham, I think he's ready for the big time as well. And he's, you know, I'd say he's one fight away from a star-making performance. And if it's against Halal Ham, great. If it's whoever it's against, he's just that one step away from being in that upper echelon of fighters and putting his name in the hat. I know he's pushed to fight Salt Pappy, and that's a fight he really wants.
He messages, yeah, he's very, very vocal about that fight. Listen, you mentioned Kimbo Slice Jr. a moment ago, albeit he won't be on this card. Son of a legend. Segues us nicely into Sons of Legends. Let's have a look at, we know those guys who have been on the Misfits cards before. They're in the Misfits universe already, the Raksus and the Ginties, etc. But it's now time to welcome the son of a different legend. Anderson Silva's son, Gabe Silva, comes and takes on Ben Davis. I mean, what a coup, first and foremost. Talk to me a little bit about how that came about.
So Gabe and his brother have both, we've DM'd each other about getting them on Misfits Boxing, possibly tag team, possibly all kinds of ideas. And this came up last minute. And Ben Davis, I've been seeing him put videos out, and I saw that he actually got some real interest when he's done his thing as well. So I'll tell you this: Ben Davis is the easiest person to talk to in the world. Like I've been like, hey bro, I've got an opportunity. Do you want to fight Gabe Silva, Anderson Silva's son? Yeah, sure, I do. Okay, do you want to know the rounds? He's like, whatever you tell me. I'm like, okay. And the weight? He's like, well, I could go up and down in weight. I'm like, all right, well, this is going to be the weight. And this is your purse. He's like, all right, brilliant. Send me the contract. I'm like, I'm gonna look after this guy. I promise you. I mean, listen, when someone is that easy to work with, and I'm not saying, I'm not going to take advantage of that with anyone. So knowing myself that I'm not going to take advantage of people, if I do get that kind of reaction from fighters, it's just what a wonderful interaction and so easygoing that it's going to motivate me to be like, let me call Ben Davis. He's always so pleasant. Let's get this thing done again. Because there are fighters out there that if you offer them a gazillion dollars, they'll ask for a gazillion 500. You know, like it's and that's the thing. They just think, let me get one over on them. But I'm like, let's mutually benefit. Let's let everyone win, and let's continue doing good business.
Simba, Master Uguay, new faces. Talk to me.
I mean, listen, Simba did a song with KSI. They did a song called Loose, and I've been hearing rumors from his circle from about 6 months, 7 months ago. Simba's in the gym, he's boxing, he wants to get on Misfits Boxing at some point. And I just thought, okay, I get that a lot from people. You wouldn't believe some of the scope of names I hear that from, and a lot of them don't come to fruition. But they kept asking after the last 3 months, hey, do you have anything for Simba? He wants to fight. And then Uguay, I just had his Twitter army basically just spamming me, put Master Uguay against Gideon, put Master Uguay against Gideon. And Gideon's obviously not fighting for the time being. So I thought this will be really cool. And again, Master Uguay is a fun person to speak to, very cool, got some good ideas to market things. And I'm excited, and they're both taking it really seriously. But yeah, big debut for both of them.
A hell of a card lined up. We have a whole bout of prelim action as well. We are announcing that this afternoon, Newcastle, September 23rd, on DAZN. Let's sign off just with a final mention, Mams, of that top card. Idris Virgo, Aaron Chalmers. Of course, Idris, well known to the universe, for fighting Anthony Taylor and putting on a dominant performance. Aaron Chalmers, because of his recent exploits, especially, like you say, against Floyd Mayweather, that's the fight that goes down. And what a carrot to dangle. The winner of that, you are going to be seeing a lot more of over the next 12 months.
Well, before we go, let me talk about a couple of the other fights, Chris, because you can't talk about this card without mentioning Callum Izzard and OJ Rose.
Fair play.
OJ Rose beat Slice Jr. No one thought he would do that. Nobody. And Callum Izzard is a guy that most people are afraid to fight, and both of them instantly said, yeah, let's go. Callum wants the Salt Pappy fight as well. He's another guy who's not shying away from that. Do you remember when it ended up being Anthony Taylor and
I remember
Salt Pappy? And that was largely because the fans just did not react to the potential fight of Callum Izzard. And Callum's like, let me show these fans that I belong in there with Salt Pappy. So that's his thing. And OJ Rose is just game for anyone. OJ Rose is like, does Anthony Taylor need an opponent? Does this guy need an opponent? He's another one who has the balls of steel and has the right mentality as a fighter, as a pugilist. He wants to go in and fight. He's not too concerned who he's fighting. He wants to fight. And then, of course, Pulley Arif and Small Party J, Spartan J, both very skilled. Both have had a little bit of experience. That's going to get our lightweight division rocking and rolling over on that card. And then we have Carla Jade and Tash Weekender. Tash fought AJ. She fought AJ Bunker about a year ago. Lost, wants redemption. Carla is a BKFC ring girl who has hit me up about boxing, and she's been consistently boxing. So that's going to be fun. And then we have a women's title up for grabs, the 125-pound title between AJ Bunker and Little Belzy. So the winner of that fight will be crowned our second female champion. So I'm excited about it all round.
Very, very tough pick and fight. We can't wait. We can't wait. Mams live on DAZN. When do we see you in Newcastle? When are you going to be coming over?
I'll be there. I'll be there for Fight Week, of course.
Fight Week, of course. It's live on DAZN. Mams, thank you very much for taking the time this afternoon. The news is out there. Live on DAZN, September the 23rd in Newcastle. Misfits X Series live on DAZN. We're there. Don't miss it.